This is an interview in the series Women Around the World, a mosaic of feminine impression and inspiration in times of Corona. My name is Cécile Masson. I'm the writer of Rose, Letters of Love to Life, and I'm an MBIT coach specialized in unfolding potential. I have the pleasure to welcome in this virtual space Margriet Krijtenburg. Welcome, Margriet.
Thank you, Cécile.
Margriet, you are a senior lecturer at the University of The Hague, and you are specialized in the work of Robert Schuman. Robert Schuman, the father of Europe, and you've written a beautiful book for children at the age of 9 to 99, beautifully described. Please introduce yourself a little further.
Thank you very much, Cécile. Yes, it's true. I'm a senior lecturer at the Hague University of Applied Sciences in the European Studies program. And I'm also teaching Spanish, by the way, and personal leadership connected to core principles of European integration. And of course, yeah, I'm a researcher on Schumann's Europe, I could say. I defended my PhD on Schumann's Europe, his frame of reference, at Leiden University in 2012. And since then, I'm very, very busy promoting his thoughts because I really think they are so topical for EU today, especially for EU, but in a certain sense, for the whole world and for each and every citizen. And also for students and kids. And that's precisely one of the reasons why I, together with Arjen de Witte, I did it with a colleague of the Vrije Universiteit, I wrote this children book, which is my thesis changed into a children book, because I think it's so important. And that's why every year there's also a Schumann for Kids module at the European School in The Hague. And the children learn about Schumann, they learn about personal leadership, which is learning about virtues, learning about good qualities, so that they learn how to respect each other, how to appreciate each other, how to appreciate the differences, because they are at a European school, so you've got all kinds of nationalities over there. The same counts, by the way, for our university at European Studies. We also have, because of the Erasmus program, which is also thanks to the EU, many students from all over the world. So this is really, really fascinating. And that's why I thought, as these thoughts are so topical, so insightful, and encourage people to become really the best of themselves. And also, I really think and believe that the EU could take a lead, also now in this Corona crisis, then to, use the insights that Schumann had for the problems we are facing these days. And really do a lot of good.
So, talking about problems, obviously we are all facing Corona and we have been in lockdown. It's being slowly loosened in different countries throughout Europe. How has it affected you personally, professionally, this last couple of weeks?
Well, professionally and personally also in that sense, it really affected me because I was going to give courses on personal leadership connected to core principles of European integration in Brno, so Czech Republic, in Nancy, France, and in Lima, Peru. And yeah, Corona decided otherwise, so now I'm still here in the Netherlands. So in that sense, yes, it affected me quite a lot. And now everything is online, of course. The connection is everything is online.
And so, thankfully, we have this possibility to meet online.
Yeah.
When you look at the bigger, you talk about personal leadership and you talk about Europe and the ideas of Schumann. When you look at the bigger systemic patterns that you observe now in Corona and how this can influence our decision making, what do you observe from the ideas from Schumann, how they could actually be positive influence for the decision making today?
Yeah, I think, his frame of reference, let's start then with that. Although I would like to speak also a little bit more about who was Schumann and how did he come to this frame of reference, so as to explain the context and to know where all this comes from. But I think that his frame of reference, for example, is hugely important. It is he starts with reconciliation policy, effective solidarity, subsidiarity, and supranationality only when needed. And then all this means that the person with his or her social and spiritual dimension needs to be at the heart of everything, of economic structures, of political structures, of social structures, everywhere. So this is a conclusion that I could distill out of my dissertation. So now you don't know the background, but I think this is, for example, extremely important in these days, because now what we have is what binds all the countries all over the world is the corona crisis. And this is something, in that sense, positive, you could say. And another reason why I think it's positive, because nobody wants this corona. And we all want to get rid of it, and also especially also of its consequences of the economic pandemia that is awaiting us, and political chaos, crime, you can name it, what all can come on our path. And that's also why I think this frame of reference that Schuman had in his thinking pattern, also as a politician, was so hugely, or is so hugely important and topical, because it really affects, you can, okay, sorry, I go back now first to the corona again. Instead of only focusing on the corona, I think it's time to also focus on other big problems, like what we have, such as the floods, now just also again in Asia, the drought, or, you know, because of all these also climate problems, people, they are panicking. They flee to Europe. The migration, the environmental migration increases enormously. People die on the way. It's just, you know, and you get more war is caused because of all these problems, crime, terrorism. So I think this is the time that all world leaders somehow, EU can take the lead in that, I think, come together and see where are the big issues and how can we solve them together. Somehow you could say, you can make a kind of parallel with, we are all now the health workers, healthcare workers. I mean, they're taking care of the people I see everywhere on the corona. The same, they put their knowledge into practice, trying to cure the people, the corona people. The people that are affected by corona, and some are more affected than others, and they all need a different treatment. A parallel thing somehow you could say of what the politicians as our healthcare workers, but then in a different way, could do for the world. Where are the IC patients? I mean, where are the huge problems we need to solve? What can we do? Where are the smaller problems? How can we solve? What kind of medicine do those need? And like that. And for that, I think that this frame of reference that Schuman used, like a reconciliation policy, that means focusing on common interests, common problems, and especially on the positive of not only every person, but every state. So that's where you see also a link of person and state. The positive, focus on the positive, because I want the best for the other country also. And when all countries have a frame of mind like that, you get out of it, because a lot of negativity disappears. And if it's there, you have this, I learned about this from you also, this appreciative inquiry dialogue. You try to get it solved. Yes. You try to see, okay, how can we get the best out of it for you? And this is something that will encourage the best out of each country and out of each person, because it is positive.
So it's really about getting our, in a way, I love the comparison you're making between the health sector and politics, because it's really bringing health back into the conversation, and health on all levels. You're saying on an economical level, but also on a spiritual level. And in between, there is the physical and the mental and the emotional level as well. So really back health as the center of everything. And around there, we have the economics. And around there, we have politics.
Yeah.
What you're saying is healthy in the sense that we have different kinds of relations with each other. So individually, leadership, with partners, with families, with bigger groups, with communities and countries and the world.
Yeah. And that's where, if you want me to make this connection with personal leadership now, or that I speak more about Schumann, I don't know what you think.
Whatever you choose. I think Schumann is very important and very dear to you. So please feel free to talk about his.
Okay. At first, I continue a little bit. I will expand a little bit on this frame of reference, how that came about.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, I connected with personal leadership, as Schumann somehow mirrors, as a person, he mirrors somehow his frame of reference. I will explain. First, in his life, he was born in Luxembourg. His father was from Lorraine. He was a Frenchman, but he became a German because of the Prussian-French War in the 1871. And he married a lady from Luxembourg who also became German. And that's why Schumann is born a German. I think this is an interesting fact also. He's born a German in Luxembourg. Then another thing about Schumann is that he studied law in Germany. And he became a famous lawyer in Metz. He did his PhD in Strasbourg, very well, summa cum laude and all these things. And he became a very celebrated lawyer in Metz for poor people, for rich people, everyone. And then there happened something that was very crucial in his life, and that was that his mom died when he was 25 years old, suddenly in an accident. His father had passed away already when he was a little boy still. And that made him think his mom was Catholic, and he was also practicing Catholic, Schumann. And then so perhaps, I don't know if he had a vocation to priesthood, or that he should remain a lawyer. And then there was a friend of his that said, you know, the saints of the future will be saints in suit. And I think that's very beautiful. And for Schumann it was, okay, so I remain a lawyer. I'm saying it very simple now, because that, of course, sanctity, try to become the person you're meant to be by God. That was the reason behind it. And he, in that sense, it was in 1911. So, and only later on in the Second Vatican Council, we hear this as something, you know, that the Catholic Church said, for lay people, for everybody, the universal call to holiness. But of course, this is already from the very first centuries. The first Christians already lived like that. And, but okay. And then in 1918, after the First World War, the people of Alsace-Lorraine, they choose Schumann as a representative of their region in the central government in Paris. And he doesn't want to become a politician, but okay, he takes it for granted. If people want it, I do it, because then probably it's meant to be. And he has to adapt all the laws of the central government, of Alsace-Lorraine to those of the central. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm saying this is interesting because here you see the subsidiarity principle, what is a very famous characteristic of the European Union. And because the people, they wanted to keep their social laws that Bismarck had introduced, that were very positive. And also they also wanted to have religion at public schools also. Now, so he took care that those laws that were typical of Alsace-Lorraine, he took care that those laws remained, and all the other laws were adapted. And both in Paris as in Alsace-Lorraine, both people were happy. So this was called the Lex Schumann. I'm sorry, I'm talking a little bit about this because I think this subsidiarity principle is so important. Also, if we think of Corona, I'm going to make now and then a link with Corona, because it means that at if the state can do it, let the state do it. Don't help more, you know? If the state cannot do it, you come with effective solidarity. And I compare in this little booklet, what you just showed, I'm saying you can compare it with a family. Yeah, thank you. Every child is different. One child needs much more attention, much more help also than another child. And if you give too much attention, it gets spoiled. It gets, it doesn't encourage his brain. It gets naughty, etc. So the same happens with subsidiarity. You should not help more than is needed, but you should help. And so also each country has its own identity, and you should protect it as much as possible, unless it goes against the common good of also all the other countries. Okay, having said that, then he was in 1942, he was caught as first parliamentarian by the Gestapo. 7 months in prison, put on house arrest, he escaped. And imagine, he always wanted peace on the European continent as a young lad already, but he said the only way to get peace is if we focus on reconciliation. So even then, he spoke about the need to reconcile with Germany. Well, he was wanted by the Nazis. There was a huge amount of money on his head. But okay, he was not caught by nobody, so that's why. But he was speaking about the need for reconciliation, and that period is also his famous leitmotif, which is, yeah, that is the famous one that I also said it during my defense in French. I could say it in English. You want it in English?
Whatever you want, whatever you want. You know, this is a European space. Let's put it that way.
I put it in French because those are his words. So yeah, I only do the first 2 lines. Eh? Yeah. Nous sommes tous des instruments bien imparfaits d'une providence qui s'en sert dans l'accomplissement des grands desseins qui nous dépassent. So we are all instruments of a providence, however imperfect, who wants great things with us that, humanly speaking, we could never ever do. Who was he as a person? You know, he never ever thought he would ever be the father of Europe. You know, one who threw the stone at the Schuman Declaration that originated the longest period of peace that we have on the European continent. And it's a unique project. Because also one of the things that he said, sorry, I'm interrupting my own story now, but one of the things that he said was that, the problems should be solved according to their size. So if there's a big problem, huge problem, you should come with a huge solution. And then at that time, it was a huge problem as well, as we have now, similar perhaps. We had the threat of communism, the threat of the Third World War. Europe had lost all its colonies. There was misery all around. Okay, the Marshall aid had helped, but I mean, it was not solved. We had, okay. And so what this unique thing of the European Union that was Schumann's idea, later on, Monet put it all into writing in the Schuman Declaration because it's written by Monet, but the ideas behind it, the main ideas, come from Schumann. And I discovered this during my thesis. While when I was studying European studies, I never ever knew about it. Okay, so his great solution at that time was supranationality. Let's use, and now I'm coming already to the Schuman Declaration, I'm going fast. Let's use instruments of war, coal and steel, as instruments of peace and put it on a supranational level so that it's not French, not German, because France and Germany, they were arch enemies for more than 1,000 years. And always fighting because of Alsace-Lorraine, because there you can find coal and steel. And with coal and steel, you can make war. Of course, you can use it as domestic utensils and things like that, but also for war, it's enormously important. So that's, and he said then, and if I continue with the Schuman Declaration, because that's also one of the main parts of this talk, I think, is that there was a reconciliation between arch enemies, France and Germany, and they started together as equal partners, which is also very beautiful, a peace project. arch enemies, equal partners, a peace project, using instruments of war as instruments of peace. And they invited other countries also to join if they wanted. And so we had Adenauer, Germany, de Gasperi from Italy, Schuman from France, Monet as head of the French Planning Committee. And then the Schuman Declaration was launched on the 9th of May, 1950. And one thing that is hardly ever told also about the Schuman Declaration is that it's also mentioned that what Schuman said, we should take care of the African continent. As soon as Europe is more or less okay again, we should take care of the African continent. But we didn't do that. No. I'm not saying that we are the wrong ones, because also there, of course, are dictators and all those things. But I mean, it's a thought that I think we can take with us. And it can help, because I think, for example, that what Schuman would do is try to get economies going in Africa. Try to, now in this Corona time, I think, and that's why I think this Corona time lends itself very good for this. Europe, dare to be yourself somehow. Because pick up this frame of reference, dare to help, even though it costs us a lot. In the end, it's better for everyone. I mean, we can make infertile grounds, we can make them fertile because they have this expertise in Wageningen. We have the knowledge, the engineers have the knowledge of the delta works. We can avoid floods. I mean, there are so many things that even the Netherlands already can do. But we cannot do it by ourselves. We need the European Union also, because if not, it's too costly. We cannot do everything on our, just help the world. But together, alleen samen krijgen we the corona under control. Only together we can get hold of this corona. And this counts also here, I would say, because then the people stay where they are. They stay in Asia, they stay in Africa. They're much happier in their own environment. They needn't flee to a country that they don't know. They don't get drowned. And we have also our hands free, because here it's also kind of a problem to get all the people. We cannot receive everybody, of course, in Europe. So it's in that sense a win-win situation. Yeah, I don't know.
You're really inviting actually our leaders, our political leaders, our people that are on high-level international decision-making platforms to scale up the problem in the sense that they really look at big solutions for big problems. And Corona obviously is highlighting this. It's like a lens to really make sure what you said earlier on about the climate change that is also creating war, etc., etc. So, how can you give, I'm very mindful of the time, how can you give a little inspiration on how they could do that from personal leadership perspective in the bigger context?
Okay, sorry that I'm talking too much in that. I think what is needed is a kind of paradigm shift, so that they put this reconciliation, effective solidarity, subsidiarity, supranationality only where needed, perhaps even supracontinentality only where needed. And as the link with personal leadership is, okay, the first question I ask my students, what do you think personal leadership is? Okay, to lead other people? No, you cannot lead other people if you cannot lead yourself. And then what's the main aim in life? They don't know. They know it's not health. They know it's not travel. They know it's whatever you want to do. It's to try to become the person you're meant to be. So use your potential and try to be good. You know, in a sense, that's what it is. And that's also what, it's not only the politicians, it's also for us as citizens. Now let's live up to this 1.5 meters. You know, to live solidarity in the first place means be solidarity. Live solidarity also with yourself. Don't give in to bad mood. I'm lazy. I don't want to. Tomorrow. No. You know, and it's a kind of sporty fight also. So you can, it gives a kind of victory, sensation of victory. So it's also, it makes happy. It makes happy to help other people. It makes also happy if we overcome ourselves, if we don't give in to laziness, if we don't give in to disorder, all those things. And you can practice it. I always ask the students, I have done a group of 29 students all over the world. Everybody says a quality, what they want to like, what they want to see in another person. be honest. Perseverant, patient, nice, funny, amiable, open-minded, positive, etc. One student once, I said, okay, you have to work 6 weeks on one of those qualities and let's see how it goes. If you don't improve, congratulations, because you see, it's difficult. And you also notice that others also have their points to fight in. You understand other people better. So
Yeah.
if you do change, congratulations, because then you will feel much more happy. The others are much more happy and they make their circles on their own. I can give an example if you want, but I don't know.
Just one example, and then we go to the conclusion of this interview. Just one example, that would be lovely.
Okay, I give an example then of a person, and then people can transpose it to countries, because you can say somehow the same of countries. Okay, the the person was a Greek guy. I call him, okay, he was called Mercurius. And he wanted to improve in being positive. So, and then the first 2-3 weeks, every day again, because they have to do it every day, including weekends. And again, yeah, no, not so much. Yeah, a little bit. And then suddenly he came to class and he said, yes, I got it. You know, I had a Skype conversation with my parents and they asked me, Curious, what's happening to you? You're so positive lately. And he said, it's so nice to be positive because I know this life is much more agreeable and I have really fun. I lost my wallet the other day, but I didn't care. But of course, I found it. I found it later on. But he said, it was all like that. And, you know, and the funny thing is that Angeliki, a friend of his who was also in the class, he said, yeah, it's really true. He really, really changed. And that's why I also now want to change. I want to learn to be punctual. And then the next week she came, I was punctual this whole week. And it's such fun because the rest of the group with whom she had together was so happy that she was there in time, which is something that you should always be, but okay. So you notice, he said, it makes happy. When you make other people happy, it makes you happy. So that is something, and I think we could have this simple element also for the countries. Just try to help out. See a person behind each country. See a person behind everything you do. Also, just material things. And then you will do it with love, and you will enjoy it, and the other person will enjoy it. So I would say you are there to be yourself. And use this reconciliation, effective solidarity, subsidiarity, supranationality only when needed, having the person with his or her personal, social, and spiritual dimension at the heart of everything. I think that's, yeah, it needs a paradigm shift, but the result is proven because the EU is a result of such a solution that they gave with this supranationality. So why cannot we use this also to solve all the other big problems?
Wonderful. I hope we will succeed together with everybody here in Europe, but also in the world. Thank you so much, Margriet, for this interview. I'm most thankful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cécile. Thanks.